grab a charger.
Oh,
it says we're live.
well,
Okay.
But I've got an issue.
I'll be the man known as Griff will be back in 30 seconds.
Okay, Griff.
Griff has some technical issues to tend to.
Is having an issue going live on Twitter. But anyway, we're live, people. Like the video. Like the video if you liked that Seahawks win.
Yeah.
We're not late.
I like that Seahawks win.
I mean, Owen, we're going to talk about stuff like this, but if that's your reaction after that type of victory...
Boo. Boo,
like,
Owen. Boo.
Good for you, but also...
Boo.
Like, it's okay. You can be happy now.
Boo. So, my question to you, Matty, is, am I now going to have to get a Drew Lock jersey? You know, I got the Geno jersey after a big Monday night win. Am I going to have to get the Drew Lock jersey now?
Possibly.
Griff, thoughts?
Hey, man.
Hey, pal.
Embrace chaos.
True.
Get it.
True. Wait, do I still have that? Hold on. Wait, do I still have? Oh, shit, I do. Yo. Let's go, Drew.
Just in the gym, waiting for his opportunity.
That's right. I wanted an apology from the US Open Twitter account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Hold on a second. Drew Lock just beat a Super Bowl team. Where is that tweet?
I retweeted it. I retweeted it earlier.
That's handy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very handy.
Also, we're all together for the first time in like a long time.
I know.
Yeah.
Let's give it up for that.
Let's get the glory hunters in the chat.
Yeah. Now, folks, I'm not gonna stick around a whole lot. I'm pretty tired. I've had a hell of a last 36 hours. So
Yeah.
But yeah,
Ty's scared to compete.
that's right.
Do we have a preamble, or should we just get right into it?
Let's get right into it.
The preamble is go Hawks, dude.
Yeah,
yeah, baby.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Go Hawks, baby.
Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where the Seattle Seahawks have won their must-win game. They have moved to 7-on-7, 500 on the season, and with an amazing Monday Night Football 20-17 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles, where Drew Lock masterfully operated the offense down the field on a 92-yard touchdown drive. And good to see our friend Bryce in the chat. He was messaging me during the moment where it's going wrong, and then Bryce made it happen, manifested it with a mention of Matt Patricia. Absolutely unbelievable. Vince saying, will Matty share his Twitter on the screen again? Probably not. Well, maybe not, Vince. I mean, maybe that peachy thing was the thing which made it happen. But, Ty, more importantly than the fact I'm wearing a bucket hat, Pete Carroll in his coaching career has moved to 4-0 when wearing a baseball cap. And, Ty, he had it backwards in the press conference. And no one asked him about it, Ty. What happened to journalism?
Yeah, I'm disappointed in John Boyle, who's been a big supporter of the Pete Carroll Fit Tracker, for not asking about that. So, John, do better. But yeah, man, this is why I created the Fit Tracker, guys. Was the baseball hat, was the whole mystery behind why is Pete wearing a baseball hat all of a sudden? When was the last time he wore that? Has he ever worn that? And then I went back into the annals of Pete Carroll lore in Seattle and found that one game against the Cardinals all the way back in 2010. And that's what started that whole thing. And now here we are. 3 more baseball hat Pete games. And he's 4-0, baby. You can't beat baseball hat Pete, dog. It's not going to happen at this point. I mean, he's got to wear the hat every game, right? Like he has to win it next week in Tennessee. And then if he goes 5-0, like he's got to wear it against the Steelers too. Like the hat does not come off, folks. The hat should not come off.
This is science at this point.
That's right.
This is we need more data, sure,
Mhm.
but that's because you're conducting science. Let's go.
These are the real stats. These are the real next gen stats.
I mean, 2 of Seattle's 7 victories this season have come with Pete Carroll in a baseball cap. So,
Just
I
saying.
mean, it's not old data. This is up to date. This is very current with current trends.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. You go back to, what was it, week 18 last year against the Rams? W. And then when did he wear the hat this year? Was it against Carolina? Was it
Commanders.
the Carolina game? It's Commanders game.
Why'd you ban Timothy? What did he say?
Timothy, why you've been put in timeout, Timothy, is first of all, you tried to say something, put a terrible typo in, like embarrassingly bad, Timothy. And then Timmy, what you did the next time was a very negative thing, saying the Seahawks are 1 of 3 in must-win games. Sorry, Timothy, but in this country, the overload empire, that's not allowed. And you're banned.
Matty,
Well, you're in
that's
timeout where you can think about your actions.
It's also just about going 1-0 every week. And this week we went 1-0. So,
Yeah,
Matty,
we did
yeah,
this.
we did it. We did it personally.
Matty, that's awfully toxically positive of you. It's a lot of toxic positivity.
I'm just being realistic. Like learn to type as I learn to talk. Bryce,
That's right.
Bryce, don't
Timothy.
worry. I have the power to do it to Twitter users too. Cool that we're getting Twitter comments now. Okay, brilliant. Well done, Bryce.
comment.
Oh, I can't put Bryce in timeout. Twitter actually is all powerful. It seems.
Why would you say that? Now you're giving people a loophole.
Hey,
Oh,
it's-
yeah,
all
don't
engagement is
admit
good
that.
engagement.
Yeah,
Can we talk about Griff? Drew Lock marching down the field on a 10-play, 92-yard drive, which left the Philadelphia Eagles with just 28 seconds on the clock. Unreal strike to DK Metcalf for 6 yards, but it felt huge given it came on 2nd and 5 and they didn't have much time, and he kind of snatched it off the ground. Then an even crazier strike to DK Metcalf against one double where the post safety starts kind of bracketing him. It's low, it's kind of crazy, but DK comes down with it, 34 yards. And then the game ender on another 3rd and 10, the Metcalf strike was 3rd and 10, to Jackson Smith in Jigba for 29 yards, touchdown. And again, a great grab from JSN against man coverage. Griffin, how impressive was that from Drew Lock and DK?
What a monster drive from DK taking over the field really on that. Like you said, there were man indicators, and Drew just went to his favorite targets, really in man coverage, and just found the mismatches, and they just worked it. They just executed pitch and catch. That was great. That throw to DK over the shoulder was awesome. Down the sideline, DK did a great job of holding off the trail corner to maintain the vertical separation that he had won. That's something he's really good at, and that can make throws look more accurate than they are. Not that the ball had to be placed where it was because of the safety, right?
It was kind of low, though.
It was a little, but DK did great, like working with the ball that Drew gave him, because Drew was ensuring the safety couldn't make a play on it. So that's just like a really good go ball team, basically. Like we know they coached the crap out of that. So that was great from DK, great from Drew Lock. The game-winning throw to Jackson on the fade was awesome. It's great that he can be out as a max split perimeter receiver in a pinch and can win that. It's another guy that you're adding to the chorus of, red line winners on the team. Because, he's supposed to be a slot, right? So, I mean, just a clutch drive. And as subjective stuff goes, Drew looked like he belonged out there on the field, the poise and all that kind of hard to pin down language. He looked the part there, which was, got to be great for his confidence. What was that word I said when we were talking about Drew Lock? I said he needed an epiphanic moment, an epiphanic game. Who knows,
That's
man?
a word.
I mean, he probably won't start next week. We probably won't see him again in all likelihood. But I hope for him that, he gets another shot at competing for a starting job somewhere, and that he can win the camp battle. I could see him going to Tampa Bay. They'd probably stick with Baker Mayfield, but, it was good for Drew. Good for Drew.
Yeah,
right?
that's got to be worth at least a 2nd-round pick. NFL, hello.
Right. And like the arm is still intriguing, right? Like I mean, it's hard not to be intrigued with his arm because he can get throws off with his feet being set in the pocket.
This guy has traits.
Right.
You can fix him.
And that will be the death of a lot of coaches' careers, but you see the allure, right? I don't want to be the team to have to find out if he can put it together. I'm very content with Gino. But still, it was good. And also, here's the other thing. This is another vote of confidence that Pete Carroll knows how to build an offense around what his quarterback can do. I mean, he really gets offensive football. And not to get too
I love that.
Not to get too sidetracked here, but
on the talk of the offensive football, though, credit to Shane Waldron as well, because Drew Lock in his post-game press conference credits the offensive coordinator for reminding him that, hey, watch Jackson Smith and Jigba here. If we get man-to-man, if we get that one-on-one, throw the ball to him. A good reminder that can happen when they're allowed to talk in the headset, and clearly a very timely reminder too. Apparently they called it on the first third down of the game. JSN said afterwards that football things happen, and for whatever reason the ball didn't go there. But a real kind of coming full circle for the offense, and just a great finish, and something we haven't seen enough this season. That's kind of why this feels so good. They'd lost 4 games in a row. They really did have to win this one. I mean, ramifications-wise, this moves the Seahawks on the season to 500, as I've said. They now face at the Titans versus the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Arizona Cardinals. But the New York Times now gives Seattle's playoff chances at 45%. And I'm unsure about that algorithm, given they're vying for the last 2 postseason spots with the 7-7 Rams, 7-7 Saints, 7-7 Vikings. And the Vikings are given a 53% playoff chance. The Rams are 49%, and then the Saints 41%, even though the Vikings have to play the Lions twice and the Packers at home. The Rams have to obviously hold the double over the Seahawks, but they still have to travel to the 49ers, and the Saints have to play the Rams, then at the Buccaneers versus the Falcons. I don't know, I feel pretty positive about Seattle suddenly. I mean, Ty, before we get onto the defense, you got anything else on Drew, the offense?
I mean, it was a mixed bag for Drew. There was obviously like the overthrow to Tyler. There was a couple other, pretty shaky throws. I mean, even on the game-winning drive, there were a couple of shaky throws. But I mean, the first third down completion to DK, obviously not a great ball, but I mean, to stand in the pocket there in the end zone, take that hit, deliver that ball to DK. Overall, pretty impressed by that. I think it was 3 third down completions on that drive from Drew, and obviously DK a big part of that. Just really overall just so impressed with his composure on that drive. Just think about the circumstances of that drive, right? 92, they have to go 92 yards, 112 seconds to go, just one timeout, and you got your backup quarterback in against, and I know the Eagles defense have had a lot of struggles this year, but against one of the best teams in the NFL. Are you serious? Like that's insane. Like those circumstances are nuts. And the fact that they were able to pull this thing out is just, I'm still stunned. I'm still speechless overall about this. I still haven't fully comprehended what I watched tonight, but yeah, man, that was awesome. This was peak Carroll era primetime Seahawks game stuff. You had north end zone nonsense. You had some cheat hawks moments. You had the backup quarterback nonsense. All this stuff. Ken Walker running his absolute ass off tonight was wild.
You had beating the Eagles on primetime.
Yeah, beating the Eagles again. For some reason, the Eagles just can't beat the Seahawks. It's no matter what iteration of the team, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter how better on paper the Eagles look than the Seahawks, doesn't matter. Seahawks always win for some reason. It's this was very, very entertaining. I think obviously the Seahawks really needed a game like this. It basically just saved their season. Drew Lock, and obviously it wasn't just Drew, but Drew Lock helped them save their season tonight. Yeah. And I think, Seattle sports in general kind of needed this right now as well, especially if you're not a Huskies fan. So, things feeling a little bit better. This was awesome. This is just a crazy batshit game, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, the Seahawks are now 8-0 against the Eagles with Pete Carroll. The last time that Philadelphia beat Seattle was 2008 when they had Andy Reid as their head coach, Donovan McNabb as their quarterback versus the very end of Mike Holmgren and Seneca Wallace under center. So
That's insane.
unreal.
That's insane. That's insane.
It is insane. They must be very upset. Now, thank you very much to Will Greg, who we read out every comment, every super chat. If you want to use the super chat function on YouTube, it's fairly instructive, I think. Horsecock MF lock. Absolutely. Horse anatomy lock, getting it done. Thank you very much for the donation.
Horse anatomy metal face lock. That's right. Yep.
I thought he was referring to chickens.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, no, he was.
Because of horse, I mean, I'm thinking like, farm animals.
Yeah, farm animals, pigs, cows.
He cock-a-doodle-dood.
What question for you guys on the chat? What is your favorite farm animal? Let us know.
Can't wait for those answers. So finally, we should say that the reason Locke was in the game is, I mean, we heard Geno Smith's injury was a 2-week deal, but it sounded like he was very close to being able to play. They just didn't want to risk it in the rain, and so Locke ended up getting the start. But it really does sound, as Griff said, that this might be the last we see of Locke, because Geno Smith, should be able to suit up against the Titans for this kind of last trio of games. Now, Griff, the defense still had to stop the Eagles from scoring or even getting into field goal range to wrap this one up. And Philadelphia had 2 timeouts when they took the football over. And they also had 28 seconds. 28 seconds?
Yeah.
Yes, 28 seconds to play with. But, Griff, they got it done. And Julian Love, after already having one impressive interception, made a game-sealing pick, covering per Next Gen Stats 23.4 yards in just 2.9 seconds, playing the post safety, making a play on the outside of the numbers, underthrowing football on a double move to A.J. Brown, picking off Jalen Hurts, somehow getting both feet in bounds with some tapping of the toes and sealing the game. How good was the defense on that last drive? And, they improved, right, in this game?
Yeah, I definitely think that they improved. Some of it, we might need to pump the brakes a little bit and consider that, like, the Eagles don't really have a great drop back game. Their go balls to Devontae and A.J. Brown, their RPO game, and then quarterback run game. And, some comebacks and stop routes on the outside. Beyond that, they really don't challenge you. Their over-the-middle concepts are fairly static, like kind of when Bobby got picked on a little bit early on. But they definitely did play well. I think ultimately they played to their talent level of guys that were out there, which is great. Like, they played assignment, sound, organized football. They didn't have big blunders, big busts. On that final drive, the corners on the one-on-one targets on the outside, they just contested well. Like Mike Jackson and Trey Brown, then those guys can cover a little bit. And they were sticky. And I think, the safeties were in the right spots. The deep coverage from the safety group this year has been good, actually. Like, they've been fine. They've been quite good even. They're not giving air yard explosives downfield this year. Like, that's not their problem. They're giving up explosives in the intermediate, especially the high intermediate. That wasn't a problem this game. So, it was just them playing like adult football, and like this group should be good. So, it's surprising, and only in the sense that, like, they hadn't been playing well, but it shouldn't be surprising because they should be this good, even without, Tariq Woolen playing the whole game and without Devin Witherspoon and everything. So, I think it was good. I mean, Julian Love got picked on a little bit in match situations, like when he was lower. Like, he cannot cover a seam stop for his life. He just overruns it by like 5 yards. But, carrying 3 on his first interception, I think he was opening up final 3 match from the weak hook, right? Or was it a backside quarter?
I think it was a weak hook, but it was cool hearing him describe that because, actually, this is me saying this is going to sound a bit weird, but anyway, I've just thought that. But we'll see if we get there and I get away with it. But Quandre Diggs was, he said how Quandre Diggs shouted when he saw the route because Diggs is playing in the post, but he's leaning his post to the opposite side because it's trips. He shouted "Jew" as the route was coming, as Julian Love was having to take the the final three up and back. And Julian Love said he just broke underneath that route and made the pick. They on the broadcast, they're saying that's defensive pass interference. I mean, you could call defensive pass interference on basically any contested play. Ultimately, Julian Love made a play that Jamal Adams didn't the previous week, and that Jalen Hurts didn't think he'd be able to make, and it was it was just enough contact to be able to win the catch point, subtle enough tug down, and then a really, really impressive kind of over-the-shoulder catch. Now, Bryce Rossler finally making a good point in the chat, saying it seems like the Seahawks defense used more post-snap strong weak rotation than usual, maybe to mess with Jalen Hurts or no. Well, Bryce, partly I think there was a bit of a kind of too high deal going on in this game where Seattle's presenting too high at the snap and then rotating down. I think that's just how Seattle wants to approach spread formations, although giving up 4.7 yards per carry, I need to get the advanced EPA on that on rbsdm.com. That's not great. They won't be happy about that, as they won't with their 178 net yards rushing. And obviously, Jalen Hurts' QB sneaks kind of lessen that average down, because I'm just using basic raw numbers. But I think a big part of the defensive plan in recent weeks, and it hasn't quite worked, although in this game it seemed to, is rotating 3 buzz into the menu quite a lot, getting Quandre Diggs down into the digs, letting Bobby Wagner stay a bit lower and a bit less important on a lot of plays, and trying to alleviate the issue. But what was encouraging about this game to me, Ty, was, I mean, they started rough. It looked like Bobby Wagner was getting picked on, even to the point that Troy Aikman, who at this rate, he seems absolutely sourced out his mind on as games progress. I guess it was early, but allegedly, he seems, to me, is my opinion.
Allegedly.
Just an observation. Allegedly. Maybe not.
Yeah.
He's just having fun.
Anyway,
Ty, after that point, seeing the defense adjusted, maybe a bit more blitzing as well, maybe just saying to Bobby Wagner, hey, don't cover, just pressure. And that kind of went hand in hand with keeping Hurts more in the pocket, a bit better rush plans generally. I don't know.
Yeah. Bobby was getting picked on a little bit there, like the Goddard first down early on in the game. I think it was on the first drive. It did seem like they made a little bit of adjustment there. And dude, real quick, can we talk about Leonard Williams? What a freaking game from Leonard Williams!
Yeah,
like, dude,
he's good, man.
That was awesome, man. I thought Artie Burns had a pretty decent game. I don't know what the tape will say about that, but I thought he flashed a little bit whenever I saw him on the TV.
Yes. So, Ty, Leonard Williams, 2 tackles for loss. To your point, he didn't have a sack, but he just seemed like a general nuisance. Seemed to make some big plays at crucial moments. And yeah, I completely agree with Artie Burns. He had that nice pass deflection on the nickel blitz. He got the nickel shout over Kobe Bryant. I'd said pre-game in my live stream that I thought Kobe Bryant would get it wrong, idiot. But Burns, I think back to that preseason game against the Packers where Pete Carroll's really enthused about how well he played at the nickel. And he also was the week 1 nickel, wasn't he, versus the Rams? I misremembered what happened there.
And the Panthers, too.
And the Panthers, thank you, Griff. So, I mean, really good player to pick out.
Yeah.
Well, and it speaks to the whole thing. Sorry, really quick. How Pete's like laying the hammer down. Like, yeah, Kobe feels like the natural pick, but they're playing Artie at the expense of Kobe. And like, this just, he probably played better in practice. And they're
and after last week, Griff.
Yeah, that too. So like it's all about like, the best players that get out there, the guys that prepare the best get out there. So that's probably making everyone focus up more.
Yeah. And the fact that, I mean, they went into this game undermanned without Spoon, without Jamal. It's pretty incredible. I mean, I know like Jalen's not playing at 100%, and obviously Devontae got banged up pretty early on, and it seemed like even AJ Brown got a little shaken up there during the game. So they definitely weren't playing at full strength, and Cam Jurgens was out too. But I think it's still pretty impressive what this defense was able to accomplish against this offense. And I listened to the Ben Solak interview that you did, Matty, and obviously he was talking about how pretty simplified this Eagles offense is, but even still, especially given the issues that this defense has had coming off of the week that it just did in San Francisco with all the yards they gave up and all that, hell of a bounce back overall. And just a great way to keep this game close, right? Because that's the thing, right? Like Drew and company only have this opportunity at the end of the game if they're able to get a couple of really key stops, especially on that last drive there, where basically Eagles get a first down there, game's over. Like so.
Yeah, Philadelphia held to 9 of 16 on third down, which is still over 56%, but it felt like, and I'm sure the numbers would back me up, that the defense kind of clamped up, started playing ball. The other guy we should praise is Michael Jackson coming in at the right corner spot with 2 pass breakups, replacing Reek Woolen. Seems Reek Woolen was benched. He still found his way on the field. Pete Carroll described that as just a competition which was had during the week, but the reason they had that was Woolen wasn't playing good enough to run and pass, just tackling in general, not making the plays which were there to be made, and also giving up plays which shouldn't really have been there. Like, you kind of, not unforced errors, but like sloppy, poor errors. And so Jackson earns his shot, and he's hitting, he's sticky, he's doing some really nice things. I mean, Griff, I know you're impressed with Jackson, but also, how did you see the defense adjust in that second half?
Adjustment wise, I think that, yeah, we did see more post snap rotation from the safeties, which is a tool they've been using really since the Bengals game. It's not like he hasn't had that idea. They did start sending more pressure. I mean, one of Clint Hurt's tools is the replacement pressures, right? It's a way to kind of, you manage the running back, you change the post snap picture for the quarterback, but you can still kind of play your core coverages with your core principles, and you still maintain spacing. So there's just a little bit more post snap action.
The
you
creepers,
don't really,
right?
Yeah, the creepers, which is audience, which Matty's talked about a lot. A four-man pressure where you're rushing 4 guys, but one of the fourth rusher comes from the second level, so thus you're dropping someone from the defensive line. It's ironic. Like, you don't really need to change a lot. You don't need to do a lot defensively against the Eagles other than have a good game plan to defend the sidelines and have an RPO game plan, really. I didn't really see them having an answer for their slant flat RPO. I really didn't see enough of that, but it didn't hurt them too much. I'm curious to see what went wrong on the scrape exchanges for Jalen Hurts when he kept. But other than that, I think they got depth in their zone. I think there's emphasis for the interior defenders to get depth on their zone. And again, there's more like static Hank concepts, which is just curl flats. And then I think the corners were just winning the outside battle against the best go ball team in the league. The Seahawks are really, really good. The Eagles might be slightly better. And they just won the red line. Jackson and Trey Brown did. Little diminutive Trey Brown. That guy can body routes up on the outside down the red line.
Griff, the Eagles had 4.6 yards per pass, and Jalen Hurts held to 17 of 31 for 143 yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, pass defense-wise, they did a heck of a job.
Yeah, and it was his scrambles on call dropbacks that inflate his EPA, but the actual pass defense itself was good. So I am curious to look into the tape. I really feel like this wasn't, because I never thought the problems was like scheme per se. It was maybe coaching of the scheme and execution. I feel like what we'll see on tape is just sound fundamentals stacking up snap after snap and it leading to this. So and then the other thing is the whole idea of when we talked about in the last episode I was on, talked about how if you just eclipse talent thresholds in enough areas, you can be greater than the sum of your parts, because you're no longer adding those units together, you multiply them together. When you're not eclipsing talent thresholds in certain areas, it's like the opposite. It's like you're multiplying by the inverse. It's you shrink, you become less than the sum of your parts. I think that this was a game where they were greater than the sum of their parts. Artie Burns being your starting nickel is not that enthusing on paper, right? Etc. Michael Jackson starting over Tariq Woolen doesn't sound great on paper, but the coaching staff got everybody ready to go. They got everybody. You got corner play that eclipsed the threshold. You got safety play that eclipsed the threshold necessary. Bobby got his act together in coverage a little bit, and then I think Clint Hurt, his supplementary calls were just so to alleviate some of those problem areas, and it all added up. Well, actually, it didn't add up; it multiplied up in the end to be what they needed to be. So, I mean, it was mistake-free football and defense for the most part, right? Like that's huge. That's huge. You know, we're still seeing how the pass rush affects defending the check down, like on like the that downstream effect. So like the basic structure of the front structure, allowing that to be balanced against the run and the pass is still a good thing. But then we also still see how the lack of Nwosu still strains the pass rush. So kind of back to that threshold of talent thing. But it was just a game to me that's really encouraging for the overall picture. That the staff can get its act together, the players can play up to their level and all that. So
I really did feel that the defense just, I mean, in the first half, even the pass rush games felt a bit off, but they kind of called their best pass rush games when it mattered most. And obviously you need to know that you're getting past, but like the Leonard Williams pass breakup, it's not a pass breakup, but he forced an incompletion to give the Seahawks the football back on a big third down, and just the play before the interception, which I think was an incompletion from Hurts, where they flush him from the pocket, and then they retrace well, and it all just looked really, really good when it mattered most. So credit to Clint Hurt and also BT Jordan, who I think is probably the one who's really kind of suggesting pass rush games with his little clipboard on the sideline for doing that. I mean, at halftime, the Eagles had the time of possession battle 18 minutes 56 seconds to 11 minutes 4 seconds for the Seahawks, and their two scoring drives were of 15 and 16 plays and combined to nearly take up 17 minutes of that. So huge touchdown drives, which were just so bad for Seattle, and yet they come away with it, hold the Eagles to 7 second half points. Just very, very impressive stuff. Ty, how good was Kenneth Walker in this game? It felt like he broke kind of like every single tackle. I don't actually have the exact numbers. He was just unbelievable, wasn't he?
Yeah, this was an example of where, you know, his patience, his vision actually pays off, right? You know, sometimes that comes back to bite him, but this is one of those games where it didn't. And also, you know, credit to this offensive line. There was some really nice push up front as well on quite a few of the runs tonight. But yeah, man, he was breaking a ton of tackles. He put Sidney Brown in absolute hell on that one scoring drive. He was awesome tonight. And, you know, it's a very lazy comp. I tweeted this earlier, but it did remind me of 2011 Thursday Night Football against the Eagles. Marshawn, like the especially that run where, I don't know if you guys remember, but like Marshawn just kind of disappeared in the pile and somehow came out of that and scored. That was I couldn't help but think about that game tonight, watching Walker's performance. He was awesome tonight. Like literally put the team on his back at times, and made some stuff happen out in open field where, you know, he's kind of one-on-one with a guy like Sidney Brown on the check down that Drew had, where it looked like he was probably going to lose 3 or 4 yards on that play, and he ends up turning it into a first down. Like, he was massive tonight. He was absolutely one of the biggest reasons that they won this game. Yeah, really cool to see him, you know, seemingly fully healthy, you know, as fully healthy as he could possibly be at this time of year. Because, you know, you can see what a real difference maker he can be.
I love how you said reference Marshawn Lynch, Ty, because, I mean, that drive coming out of the second half, that, you know, the Seahawks were, what was the score at that point? Were they behind by 3, or was it a tied game?
It was 10-3. It was 10-3. It
was 10-3, right. It just felt like they absolutely had to do something, otherwise it would all just end. And they put together a 9-play, 75-yard drive where Walker kind of takes over the game. Capped off by a beautiful 23-yard touchdown, which I believe was the first explosive play of the game. And he just was so impressive, like catching, running. And I also felt, Griff, I don't know if you found this as well, but It felt like in this game, Seattle may have found a run concept they can lean on. Now, the Eagles' run defense is actually better than I expected, whereas their real issue's been their pass their pass coverage. But they're not the best run D, and Seattle's faced some really tough opponents before this game, don't get me wrong, but that kind of heavy personnel gap concept, whether it was power or like G lead kind of thing, kind of reminded me of the stuff the Bucks used to do with Brady. That feels like something they can hang their hat on, getting Walker under center, running behind a pulling Damian Lewis.
And it also, I mean, they blocked it well, right? I mean, they were just finding the bubble. I think it was just a front beater. And they blocked it well. The tight ends had some really good down blocks. Will Disley in particular made some great blocks because it's that initial down block on the bubble side, which is the most important block, I think, to
get gap bubble, right?
Yep. And so, it was just I mean, Waldron he has his core runs, which I think he shouldn't necessarily be super multiple in the run game, because that makes the changeup runs work better. They just need the core runs to be more effective. I think the core runs were good, but yeah, Matty, I agree that I think it was just power, regular old power, worked really well from under center. I mean, they probably found different ways to attack the bubble. They might have done the same thing out of counter or maybe even G lead, like you said. But yeah, it was great, and I think that ties into really the most important thing of this game, and what Ty also mentioned, the O-line is putting it together.
Yeah.
That is the most important thing for the finish of this season and their chances in the playoffs, should they squeak into the wild card and next year, because we needed to see signs of life. Can they recapture what they did up front the first 13 weeks of the season in 2022? Because that is what will dictate their ability to fix their third down problem, which they kind of did tonight, or they are continuing to with the Cowboys game with Geno and then this game. And then just, making it easier to drop back past and earlier downs as well. That's what is, I mean, the fact that they've had the 13th ranked offense, and it'll probably be even better after tonight with as putrid of O-line play they've had, which again has been primarily because of injury, but then the starters come back and they don't have continuity and they play just as bad as the backups did. Surely that couldn't have gone on forever, right? I mean, surely the good players become good again, right? Like, isn't that supposed to happen?
Yeah.
And then against a very good D-line, they put forth a really good game, run blocking and pass protection. So this has me very enthusiastic, especially looking at what's remaining on the schedule. I mean, they should take care of business the next three weeks. I mean, if they don't, it's not good, but they should.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like tonight and even the Cowboys game is kind of the proof of concept that they can do this against these, against like the second tier of NFC teams, because like the 49ers are in their own tier right now. But like the Eagles, Cowboys, etc., that group of teams, they can absolutely do this. They can get into that wild card. Yeah, Lions. I mean, they beat the Lions. They almost beat the Cowboys. They've beaten the Eagles now. Obviously, it's going to be different settings in a wild card, setting. But still, I think if they can put it all together, they're more than capable of doing this. I mean, this is what we've been talking about, or what we did talk about before this losing streak, is that with the talent on this roster, they are more than capable of competing at a high level with all of these teams. And I feel like tonight is, again, like I said, kind of the proof of concept of that. So, we'll see. Long way to go. They need to win out here. I mean, that's the safest way for them to get in here. And there's a pretty decent chance, like you mentioned earlier, Matty, that the Rams are going to lose at least one game the rest of the way out. So if that happens and they win out, they're probably in. So, yeah, I think they're more than capable of doing some damage here, but they just got to keep building upon this, and hopefully they don't regress, and we'll see where Geno's at health wise. But this is a good building block for them. Also, the Cowboys game as well. So anyway, I gotta go.
Bye, Ty.
I'm really tired. I love you guys. This was awesome. I'm so glad to be back with you guys here. For those of you that listen to Locked On Mariners, we're going to be back at it tomorrow. So look forward to that. But yeah, go Hawks, man. This was a lot of fun.
People.
Go Hawks, baby.
This was a lot of fun, guys. All right, let's do it again soon. Talk later.
Bye, Ty.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so Locke sacked 2 times tonight, Griff, and I think one of them was like a long developing interior game, which is basically the way to get out of the Seattle in passing down situations. I think the other was a coverage sack, so it didn't seem that egregious. Like I just to the point of the offensive line being fairly solid this game, and actually the run game getting movement. I mean, Seattle on the day rushed for over 100 yards. Well, 100 yards exactly, 4.2 yards per carry. I mean, I think they'll take that every time compared to the low amounts of yardage they've been having. And on the Walker touchdown run, the 20-plus yarder, Drew Lock reached his top speed of 18 miles per hour as a lead blocker, which again, that felt very Seahawky. It reminded me of like a 2012 team, how balanced that was, but also Lock just being a kind of point guard, not really being given. He's been given like it's like an RPO, but a triple option throw into the flat. That sort of stuff.
I am really curious to get a hold of the tape and see what they actually did in the drop back game with him on early downs in particular, like because like what you call is indicative of what you think the quarterback can handle. So like it shows that it's indicative of what he's shown in practice. It's obviously indicative of what they practice itself. It's commentary. There's a lot to be gleaned from. Obviously, they know he can do the point and shoot play action stuff he did last week. I don't know if he actually did it that well this week. We also know he's liable to throw the ball in the double coverage 40 yards downfield, 30 yards downfield. His placement isn't great, but like, you know, if you line it up right, you can still be productive there. So he was good on third downs, as we know. He was inspiring on that final drive. So I am curious to see what Waldron thinks of him. That will be interesting to watch. I'm really enthused by the O-line though, man. Like I think Cross and Lucas had a really good game. I think was it Bradford had a couple of bad losses against Carter, and then I think Evan Brown had a bad loss against Carter. But that's fine. You take a couple of lumps there. Lewis played well.
Yeah, he's a wreck of a player, isn't he?
Yeah.
So real quick with the chat, Timothy, that's perhaps the quickest redemption. Thank you so much for the donation. Appreciate that. I'm glad you're celebrating. Tyler, thank you so much. I'm glad that you find us educational. Other Tyler, thank you so much. Tyler's having a competition. Tyler winning by a cent. But thank you. And Forrest, Luke, on JSN's touchdown, I was convinced it was Lockett until it replayed twice. Yeah, that was a Lockett-style extension. It was a really impressive grab, wasn't it? Because, I mean, I said like it was precise from Drew Lock, but OG3, watch it, buddy. You know, you'd been doing so well, and it'd just be a shame on a night like tonight if things went awry. But yeah, Locke kind of put that a bit long for JSN, but he made him right, which was cool. Kind of an example of the adjustment. John McTeague of ESPN Stats Info had in the first half the Seahawks blitzing Jalen Hurts on only one of his 18 dropbacks, just 5.6%. If that held, it would have been the second lowest blitz rate Hurts had faced in his career. He faced 5% in 2021 at the Oakland Raiders, maybe Las Vegas at that point. But anyway, the two lowest blitz rates Hurts faced this season entering this game came versus the 49ers and the Jets. 49ers 12%, Jets 16%, and the Eagles lost both of those games. There was 2 of those 3 losses. So clearly not blitzing Hurts that much, maybe a part of the winning formula. That being said, the 49ers and Jets have real, genuine rush for pass rush. So I don't know about the correlation, but clearly Seattle saw something which suggested they shouldn't blitz Hurts much, and in the second half they ramped it up a bit more. I would be interested to know their final rate. I know Seattle doesn't like to pressure that much, just in general anyway. Griff.
Yeah. Yes.
Seahawks Nerd 75 tweeted, "Truly, man, it's nights like these that make competing worth it. F that tanking loser shit." Oh, I swore. I think that's a sentiment that we've agreed with, right?
Yeah, agreed. Why you want to? I mean, think about the damage that does to your club's mentality. Like, plus, also, it's not as though I mean, maybe net talent, but gross talent is not the issue for this team anyway. So whatever marginal improvement you get via 4 or 5 draft slots is not worth the loss in the development of other players trying to play good football and cohesion and everything like that. Continuity has been their main issue out of the gate every year. What you want to hold on to as much continuity as you can get. Whenever they put it together in a season and they're like, all right, they finally arrived, whether one unit or the other, it's because of they actually get content. As much as we talk about scheme tweaks and all that stuff, it's just guys getting on the field together, staying together, and then building chemistry finally. One of the most important things for that is to, not wanting to rock the boat too much. If you start to lose games, you undo a lot of progress, and it's shooting yourself in the foot. I mean, if you want to tank for if you're in a really bad situation and you need the quarterback of the future or whatever, then okay, but that's not where this team is at right now. They're not going to be in position to draft Drake May or Caleb Williams. Forget about that. Otherwise, it's just, you're talking about, I don't know, you might miss out on Romo Duns, at the 10 to 12 slot, whatever. Beyond that, I mean, I don't. What they need in the draft anyway is they can find in the bottom third of the first round. They don't need to find the insane heavy hitter. They have the guys, and they just need to make minor adjustments here and there.
And on a micro level, just how fun was tonight and the win,
Yeah.
Watching tanking football isn't why you fall in love with the sport, unless you're just a draft nerd. And there does tend to be a correlation between people who advocate for tanking and people who just watch for the draft, which is fine. You can do that, but then just go and follow the team who has the number one pick every year. Anyway, I'm not here to gatekeep fandom, and I understand people cope in different ways, but tonight is one of the most fun, I think, Seahawks victories in quite some time. That was just pure madness. And Griff, part of the reason it was pure madness is because there was the weird stuff. There was the horrendous sequence where, and we should talk about it. So Seattle is marching down the field. It looks like, and it's the type of game where, you don't know how well the defense is going to play. They've kind of struggled. But also, Drew Lock is under center, and they hadn't really moved the ball that much, and they'd been struggling. They had some third and longs, but then there was, some false starts during the game. Noah Fant had 2, I think. There was others. I mean, offensive penalty-wise, looks just really nasty. And, there was weird moments of Drew Lock inaccuracy. It was raining. And then the kind of peak moment is Seattle converts on I think it was definitely a passing. It was 4th and 2, right? And they came out in a clear passing look. They throw a slant to DK Metcalf. It rarely gets called for defensive pass interference, but it feels risky. And then they get him 3rd and 2 and show another clear passing look for a consecutive, time.
Yeah.
And Drew Lock, it looks like throws an incompletion when he's in the grasp. On 4th and 2, Seattle, for whatever reason, and we can talk about that, doesn't get the play in. And then, or in time, so Pete Carroll has to take a timeout. That then allows the Eagles to watch the replay. It shows Drew Lock's knee was down before the ball came out. And the Eagles challenge. So rather than facing 3rd and 2, or 4th and 2, Seattle ends up in a 4th and 9 situation. They end up having to kick a field goal. And I mean, to me, that felt so messy because, one, if you're in 3rd and 2, why are you in a clear passing look where it's obvious you're passing? Why not run the ball or at least threaten run because you're going for it on 4th and 2? Why not do that? And then second, if you know you're going for it on 4th and 2, why don't you have a play ready to go immediately so you're bang, bang? And then third, why are you not told in the headset? I know the replay came in, but you should be told in the headset. Don't take a timeout. Just let the... Anyway, just a messy procedure, no, Griff?
No, I agree. Something that needs to be hammered out better. Especially for a team that finds itself in, hurry up situations to go win the game or, get a lead before the half or get points before the half, type of situation.
Yeah, and that was in the fourth quarter, wasn't it? That
Yep.
10 minutes 5 seconds, Myers kicked that field goal, and had been a 10-play drive, which is why it just felt like very similar to how they'd messed up other games.
Yeah, agreed.
But then Julian Love gets that interception, so I guess they got away with it. It might always be the kind of thing that I think it happens to bad teams. I think it also happens to teams who haven't won in a while. But there's not much more to say about that.
I agree. If they probably don't find themselves in the situation if they have Geno in this game. There's probably more. I mean, I think if Geno's in this game, they probably win by 10 points. But we'll see. Not to discredit all that Drew did, though.
No, it did definitely happen. And not to discredit what happened, but the miss to Tyler Lockett, where he just inexplicably throwing deep leads it outside and long rather than it looked like a skinny post, but it's hard to tell with the placement. But he should have thrown that inside and they had it. He just missed it, a bit like last week. And I know it was wet today, but just throughout his career, he has moments of just like weird inaccuracies that just occur. It's not so much as reading the defense wrong; it's just like straight up throwing the football wrong.
He doesn't have. I mean, he's always been, he's been known to spray the ball a little bit,
streaky.
Yeah, is what it is.
But what was again so cool about this is that Seattle and Drew Lock came through. Tyler Lockett became the second player in franchise history and 94th player in NFL history to record 600 career receptions. That'll be him and Steve Largent, won't it?
That's insane.
It is insane.
Tyler is still really good, man. He's catching a little heat. I think it's because the volume stats aren't there, but I connect that to the protection. I mean, he's playing really well, I think. So he's Tyler to me still.
Yeah, and I spoke about kind of that because I was asked about that on a stream, and I think it's more that he just hasn't had the opportunities or been given the opportunities. I mean, even early in this game, you have a Noah Fant out route. He's off the line of scrimmage, which I think kind of suits his game. But the guy setting the kind of pick or the rub, the guy asked to be the point man on the Trips Bunch side is Tyler Lockett. I mean, that's never going to be something he wins at. And he was kind of held, but I just didn't know about that. Yeah, Taylor, that's spooky that Tyler and Steve Largent share the same birthday and the same place.
Taylor, we need an astrology breakdown on that.
Yeah, does it point towards it's Tulsa they're from, isn't it? Tulsa, Oklahoma, I think. Anyway, Griff's not helping me here.
We need our producer Ty on the line.
Again, ramifications of this game. So if the Los Angeles Rams lose on Thursday, the Seattle Seahawks control their own destiny and will qualify for the postseason if they win out. And the same would apply if the Vikings lose to the Lions on Sunday. And just to reiterate, Seattle now has a 45% chance of making the playoffs per the New York Times. Next Gen Stats puts their chances at 43%. And the 7-7 Vikings have to play versus the Lions, versus the Packers at the Lions. They have a 53% New York Times chance. That seems so high given they're now on to Nick Mullins, their quarterback. The Pastronaut is over, and they're just banged up. Then the 7-7 Rams versus Saints at Giants at 49ers, a 49% New York Times chance. The fact the Rams did the double over the Seahawks and they have to play at the Niners in Week 18 where the 49ers may potentially, especially after the Eagles lost, rest their players, that doesn't feel great. I think maybe Seattle's going for the 7th seed, really. And then the 7-7 Saints, who are at the Rams, at the Buccaneers, versus the Falcons, Bryce, 41% New York Times chance. So they're right in it. It was a massive victory for that. The fact that it snaps off their losing streak. And Griff, remind me, how many losing seasons does Pete Carroll has as Seahawks head coach in his massively long tenure?
3. and then in one of them he went to the playoffs anyway, and then in the other one it was and won. And then the other two, his quarterback sustained a pectoral tear on his throwing arm, and his defense finished the year really good. And then the other one, his quarterback was out and then came back still very injured with a busted up finger, and his Pythagorean win was still like 10 wins.
How curious.
So, I mean, Pete Carroll wins games, and he I'd argue maximizes his roster. And I think that doesn't mean he does it every week, but I mean, over the course of like the whole season window, over the stretch of a 2-3 year window, I think he maximizes his core. And I think part of the unmet expectations are because he has inflated those expectations by virtue of him being the coach. People, if there was a worse coach, people wouldn't have the same expectations for some of the groups they've had. So, yeah.
Griff, do you want to watch something funny?
Sure.
So, Twitter user at McNeil Webster posted their view of the game ceiling pick.
Mm-hmm.
1 second.
Good old McNeil.
Yep.
I think he's a friend of the pod.
There we go. So it's cover 3 bars where Quandre Diggs is coming down into the strong hook. Bobby Wagner's in the weak hook, which can get yikesicles.
But it's 2 by... what's the formation? Is it 2 by 2?
Yeah, it's 2 by 2. This is a tight end who they leave in pass pro. Look at look at how many bodies they get on the over route.
Yep. It's good that's a good weak hook drop from Bobby, though.
Yep. Fine enough. Reds his indicators. It's a bad, terrible route distribution from the Eagles, though.
So this is interesting. This is well, they're in dime, but we've got a nickel carry, don't we?
Yeah, based on back release, right?
Yeah, but I mean, we typically, I mean, that's showing them mixing it up, right?
Yeah, we'll have to see if that continues.
Because normally the match is going to be Kobe's side on the tight end.
Yeah, why I said based on back release, because if this dude releases fast 3, maybe Diggs handles.
Well, sure. I mean, there's fast 3 rules, but I'm just saying, like, they normally if
absolutely, yeah.
That's good to know. They're still mixing it up, and I think that's going to be for like clear pass down situations. Could be game plan. It's just nice to know they have the tool available to them.
Did you think they were going to throw the DPI flag here? Classic underthrown NFL football.
Oh, I definitely thought.
Yeah,
I definitely panicked. I held my breath. I was like, "Please don't call it. Please don't call it."
Oh, that's so cool. Good for this dude.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Look at that. So, any more all 22? Then please do send it our way.
I haven't been to a game in so long.
No, nor have I. Well, that's not true. I went last season, but it wasn't in Seattle.
That's true. It's like live all 22. It doesn't get better than that.
We just stream it live and get kicked out live on Twitch.
Hey, what's up, gamers?
And just get super caffeinated and just like announce over the live all 22.
Yeah.
Hey, if they make the playoffs, I might see what I can do.
Hell yeah.
When they make the playoffs, I should say. Yeah. Chat. Any questions?
Let
me catch up. Jay, that's crazy that you have an aunt and cousin who share your birthday, and your cousin's 11 years older, and your aunt is 11 years older than your cousin. That's wild. Bryce, that's not a question, buddy. Clearly, someone doesn't understand a question. Live all 22, but extremely loud and drunk, says Monjumbo. Monjumbo, we don't get drunk. Connor, I've never been to a game. Connor, it is good. Brandon, this is a good question. Oh, why does the defense seem to struggle with really basic concepts? Well, could be all manner of things. Yeah, I mean, it's probably almost that they're overcoaching them. I mean, this week it seemed they didn't struggle with the basic concepts. The one thing I had beef with was more like a play calling thing of on the Jalen Hurts first touchdown where he keeps it. It looks like Seattle's playing cover one with a 5-man box, and they just don't have the number. Like they just, and it's like it's such an
Yeah.
obvious call versus that formation as well. They did seem to have a flush game, but Brooks just couldn't get out there in time because you can't in that situation if he's the
Yeah.
spy.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. This week, I don't think they had issues conceptually so much.
No.
I think basic weaknesses of the front structure cropped up a little bit, like on the really spready runs.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't see any like nickel bear, but what we did see was kind of blitzes and then movements to kind of BS their way into it.
The first drive, I mean, the Eagles did some of the things they're gonna do, but like that drive got extended just because Bobby just had terrible zone drops.
There was 2 bad Bobby Wagner plays on third downs,
And
which
like
extended the drive.
it's not the play call. It's just him not reading what the formation is and the initial stems and combining that with tape study, which knowing their tendencies, and they're just reacting to your indicators all added up. I mean, like I posted a play. If we remember Ryan Neal's interception against Justin Herbert last year against the Chargers, great play by Neal, but Jordan Brooks forced the far throw, which allowed Neal to get a play on the ball. Same exact concept. It was basically a Hank concept. You have an over the ball route, and Bobby just doesn't melt with the route wrapping over the top with him. I retweeted that Jordan Brooks play of him melting underneath it, and because Brooks knows exactly what's happening, and Bobby's just standing there. So, yeah. So like it's not soft zone. It's bad zone, and bad zone from players not executing well. But I don't think that continued to persist throughout the game.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Lockett's slide with clutch catches? If that's referring to Lockett getting down, I mean, he can do that. Like, I understand why it happens. We kind of spoke about that before, haven't we, Griff?
Yeah, I think it's kind of circumstantial, honestly.
Yeah.
I think Taylor's question is a good question. I mean, yeah, I mean, he made the great splash plays. Those were great plays, like objectively. He also got cooked a little bit on one-on-one situations up the seam. Like he can't stop his feet and come back to the route. Like he can't. So it's just kind of the limits of his skill set. He's honestly just kind of average, and average is okay, but yeah, I don't know what to say on that. I mean, maybe the tape will show a different story. Maybe things, the good and the bad, will add up differently on tape. But those were excellent, flashy plays. So
yeah, here's Kenneth Walker's touchdown run from at McNeil Webster again. Thank you, McNeil.
Dude, how he bends like that is insane.
Just at such speed, right?
Right.
When I saw this, because this was short yardage, I was like, oh no, not the dreaded sidecar formation to get overly cute.
Honestly, though, it's such a sound formation. They're so versatile out of it.
Yeah, because what you get from this is you get a zone path here, but with these two, it becomes basically like counter.
In terms of how it affects the gaps, yeah.
Yeah.
They get out gapped.
Or it's like split zone with an RPO almost.
That's more what I would think of it as, yeah. But it's the same math, right?
Very annoying. And when you get Drew Lock to the party, it's like, I don't know.
So it's 53 who screws up. The will.
Yeah, this guy.
He needs to fall back. You've got 53 and 41.
Yeah, this is really poor. This is poor keying. Hold on, let me get my pen out, Griff. Good spot here.
Yeah. So his key, he should just be playing the inside hip of the inside tight end.
Yeah,
Like, what is he
because
doing?
well, yeah, they
32,
play it like one back, one gap, don't they?
32 has the B gap bubble, 41 is the A gap bubble, 21 and 53.
Yeah, what even is this?
He has no idea what he's doing.
Especially with this dude spilling for him.
Yeah, so he would fit off the spill.
Yeah, because this is just split. Like, ignore this dude, right?
Yeah.
Because you're in a 4-4 structure. This handles this. We've got to fit off this and the flow, and the flow is. So he should stack the 3 tech and then work back out, right?
Yeah, it's bad, man.
What on earth is he doing?
He doesn't know. Poor guy.
And also the downfield blocking effort was lovely, wasn't it? The way that Parkinson actually got involved, and is that?
Yeah, Parkinson seals the deal, right?
Yep.
I mean, that could have been a night because we know their red zone woes, right? Like, you've got to take advantage of your big plays.
Oh, is that Shaq Leonard?
Oh, it could be. Maybe he's just too. Yeah, that is him.
He hasn't been on the team that long. Good point,
Yeah.
Monjombo.
That's a great finishing block because there's no guarantee you get inside the 5-yard line with this team currently.
This is great patience on Tyler Lockett as well.
Yep.
What a great block.
Good stuff.
There you go. Live ball 22. So, Griff, any closing thoughts? Yeah. If we speak on Sean Desai, I mean,
I don't enjoy it, but.
Well, just my general thing is, imagine how bad it must be to. I mean, he's basically been politicked by Matt Patricia out of a job, but because he wants to keep an NFL job and be seen in good circles, maybe enjoys his job. We don't know exactly what happened, but he has to kind of put up with that and just sit in a booth and like write down. It looked like he was doing a lot of writing. Doesn't sound that fun.
Yeah. Anyway. Final thoughts, man. They're 7-7, finished 10-7. O-line keep playing well. Defense just play sound football. Don't be bigger than you are. Get Gino back in there. Go win a playoff game. Then win the next one. Then we'll talk. Win here. How about this, man? Win 5 games in a row. Go win 5 games in a row. No. Well, that would be 6 games because you've got 3 more.
Yeah. 5 games in a row wouldn't quite do it.
5 more than right now. Go on a 6-game winning streak is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because that's the next 3, then wild card, divisional, You don't want them to win Super Bowl?
No, I want to, but I'm just saying let's start.
Well, isn't that 7?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Wait, hang on. So you want them to get to the Super Bowl and then you're just like, nah.
No, I'm saying get to the NFC Championship game. Win a wild card game, win the divisional, get to the championship game, then we'll reassess.
You really think if they get to the championship game, you're just going to be like, I'm reassessing now, and I don't think they quite have it, and I don't want them to win.
Well, I think, all right, if they win, all right, if they win the wild card game, if they get into the wild card, win the wild card game, I think they'll win the divisional game. And then they face the 49ers, and I just don't think they have that realistically. But I think that if they do get to the playoffs, I think they can beat any team in the NFC except for the 49ers. So.
Well, that's the nice thing. I was hoping that this tough stretch of games for them would be, a chance for them to correct past issues. And I'm not sure if they did that, but they have been very much battle tested against the NFL's best.
Yeah.
And this last stretch is still a chance for them to, 1, enter the playoffs with momentum, but 2, if they've won those games, no win in the NFL is easy. And if you've put together a 4-game winning streak, then you are in a good spot and you have a chance to probably face the teams that you came up short against in this tough losing stretch. So you couldn't really script it any better. How about that?
How about that? All right.
Thank
That's
you, chat, for joining in. Follow Ty at Ty Dane Gonzalez on Twitter. He's also on the other platforms. Griff at C Mike Spinmove. You can find me on social media at Matty F Brown. To keep up to date with the podcast at Seattle Overload, we tweet it out. It's also available in audio format. Please do give us a 5-star review. It just helps us boost up. And if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, retweet this link, like the tweet. YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below. The engagement tonight has been absolutely fantastic. It feels brilliant to have the Seattle Seahawks win. It's 6:33 a.m. I don't feel like sleeping. Have a good night, everybody.